Hello everyone. Welcome back to Tuffrey's live studios area, where the possible or the impossible can happen. And here are some people like Tuffrey and a few others that I'm going to tell you what Spooky Gaming is all about. So here we go. I'm happy again, singing and dancing in the rain. Alexa, volume 7. Alexa, volume 7. Good. So I'm going to my podcast from going another stream for TikTok there on, and also go onto my podcast as well to create some fun for everybody. So yeah, but here you go. Here's some games that
playing from Grant's iPhone.
Here's some games that can be played by yourself. I'm still on a team, by the way.
Hello and welcome back to the most amazing channel.
Go back here.
Hello and welcome back to the most amazing channel on the internet. I am your host, Rebecca Felgate, and today we are talking the top 10 cursed paranormal games that you should never play. And honestly, don't. I wouldn't play any of the games on this list, not because of the whole ghost thing, but more because of some of them sound like a lot of effort. They have like super long setups, and honestly, I'd just rather have a nice cup of tea and get stuck into a game of Settlers of Catan. What's your favorite game? Let me know in the comments section down below. There's a board game cafe here in Toronto, and it's like one of my favorite places to go. Yes. If you like our content, please do leave a thumbs up to this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead. I think you'll love it. Check out the links in our description box to our most amazing Instagrams and all of our sources. Stick around to the end because I'm going to be replying to some comments. Coming in at number 10, we have One Man Hide and Seek. In Japan, this game is known as Hitoru Kakurenbo. I might have said that wrong. Let me tell you though, your stuffed toy will never be the same again. So, what you need here is a stuffed animal, but it has to have arms and legs. So think bear rather than crocodile. Also, it has to have a name. For example, Ted the Dread. Basically, you cut Ted the Dread open, remove his stuffing, replace it with rice, and then some fingernail clippings. Creepy. You then sew the bear back up, wrap it, thread it, do all of that kind of stuff, put it back together. You then put this stuffed toy in the bath and say, for the first game, I'm it. You then count to 10 with your eyes closed, then you're supposed to stab the toy and say, I won. Sounds very dramatic. You then announce to the toy that it is going to be it, and then you have to go and hide. For some reason, it's important that you hide with a glass of salt water, and if you feel scared, put some of that in your mouth.
Speaking of Channel International, download the Renew today. My absolute favorite way to sing.
Let's get through. Right, let's get home. Okay.
Game is over and the toy hasn't found you in an hour, fingers crossed. You go back, spit the salt water on the toy and burn it. Bye, Ted. Honestly, it all sounds like a lot of hassle to me. Ah, yes, at number 9, we have a classic. It's the Ouija board. Tale as old as time, right? Do you guys even need me to explain this one? Can we just move on to number 8? No? I have to say the words?
Yes.
Okay then. An Ouija board is a board with printed letters, numbers and signs, plus the words yes, no, good and bye. It is used to summon spirits and communicate with them. Famously, bad spirits have indeed been summoned. Interestingly, you can actually buy an Ouija board in a lot of mainstream game shops. Why buy one when you can make one yourself? Coming into number 8, we have Charlie Charlie. Charlie Charlie is a game, I guess, a bit like the Ouija board, but it's way more DIY. A person balances pencils on top of one another with no and yes written in squares. Charlie Charlie can't be used to summon any demon though. It seems that the infamous Charlie is the only one that will appear. And again, I'm not sure you want to meet him. Players of the game say something like, Charlie, Charlie, are you here? And then the pencil moves and teenagers freak out on YouTube. That's the trend. So why do the pencils move? Clearly because a demon has been summoned, not because of friction and gravity. Demon. Coming in at number 7, we have the Living Doll. Do you know what? I really don't like a creepy doll. I don't. In fact, I feel like you shouldn't have dolls over the age of 10. Just get rid of them because they'll probably haunt you. They pop up everywhere and they're always causing paranormal havoc. Get those dolls out. So Living Doll is like a cocktail of paranormal game fusion. It's got a lot of scary game tropes, candlesticks, mirrors, hiding, a doll. So here you're supposed to put a doll and a candle between two mirrors and say a little incantation. You then blow out the flame and wait for the doll to come and find you. If it finds you, then bad news bears. You're supposed to hide for around an hour and try not to get found. If you remain unfound, then good. Congratulations, you survive. You then return to the doll, which may have moved, pour salt in it, and put it in a cupboard overnight. That ought to do it. Coming into number 6, we have Midnight Man. Midnight Man is a modern rehashing of an old pagan ritual and is essentially a game to summon a spirit. I feel like all of these games summon spirits, you know. To play, you write your name on a piece of paper. You have to prick your finger and produce a small drop of blood and put it on the paper. You then light a candle and then you tape the paper with your name on it to a wooden door. It has to be wooden, apparently, so... Timing is very important here. You have to then knock on the door 22 times, with the last knock coming exactly at the stroke of midnight. You then open the door, blow out the candle, close the door, relight the candle. To me, it's all a big faff. This apparently means that the Midnight Man is now in your house. Your job is to avoid being caught by the Midnight Man, who will try and scare you until 3:33 a.m. No more, no less. Honestly, I'd much rather just be in bed having a good sleep. It sounds like way too much aggro. Whatever you do, don't say his name 5 times unless you want to play the game, in which case, go ahead. That's right, guys. At number 5, we have Candyman. Candyman, Candyman, Candyman. Actually, do you know what? I think I'll stop there. The Candyman is allegedly a murder victim with a hook for a hand, like Captain Hook, one of my favourite characters ever. He's mean. If you say Candyman's name 5 times, then you will summon him. The only issue, aside from summoning a demon, is, you know, he's angry. He probably wants you to die. There is a movie made about it. Have you seen it? Coming into number 4, we have the Devil's Dog. Yet another summoning game, although this one doesn't require a mirror. Shocker. If calling forth the hounds of hell is high up on your to-do list, then you'll be pleased to know it's actually pretty easy. All you have to do is close your eyes, although allegedly the game works best in a group of 4 with one person in the middle. Alone or together, you close your eyes and hunch into a little ball and say, Devil's Dog, Devil's Dog, Satan bring me Devil's Dog, over and over again until you feel scratch marks on your back. You'll likely even see them. This way you'll know that you've been marked by the hellhounds. Apparently they'll provide you with protection, but you'll also be cursed, so, you know, again, Tea and Catan? Anyone? Coming into number 3, we have Mirror Tunnels. Mirror Tunnels is a classic parallel universe game. For this one, you're supposed to set up 2 very big mirrors facing one another, and then you physically stand in the middle. You stand looking in the mirror and count how many frames you can see over your shoulder in your reflection, like mirror after mirror after mirror after mirror, kind of like that bit in Black Swan. It's actually, honestly, probably enough to send you mad. So you're supposed to look out for movement in the frames. You should be standing still, but one of your reflections might move in another dimension. Honestly, to me, it's a little bit mind-bending, but basically, so it goes. One version of you in a different dimension may bring something bad to your current dimension. Do you know what? I've gone cross-eyed. I feel like we need to move on. It's too much. Although I will say, in every world in which you exist, are you always going to be good? Honestly, probably better just to leave this one alone. Okay, this is another scary game that comes from Japan, and to me that makes it a little bit scarier. We have the bath game. Also known as Daruma-san, the bath game involves summoning a grotesque ghost, and then you got to stop it from catching you. Again, I'm sensing a theme here. This is like very normal for paranormal games, right? Honestly, summoning a demon in the bath isn't my kind of party. I'd rather have a candle and a glass of wine and a good book, but whatever floats your boat. It seems that this game involves taking a bath at night in the dark and sitting facing the taps. You're supposed to wash your hair and then repeat the words, Daruma-san fell down, over and over again. You've got to keep your eyes shut, but you'll feel a presence in the bath with you. When you feel the presence, you should ask, why did you fall in the bath? When you feel like the presence finally leaves you, you've got to get out of the bath, but leave the water where it is, don't drain it. The next morning is when the game begins. The ghost of Daruma will follow you. She'll get closer as the day goes on, but you cannot let her catch you. When you see her over your shoulder, you must shout, Kita, which means I cut you loose, and then perform a karate chop.
Did you ever have that feeling where something just did not feel right?
Kita! I mean, that sounds fun, but honestly, the whole thing sounds pretty pointless. Why spend a day escaping a demon when you could just, be having a good day? Pray for devils have no reason. Satan waits to curse your ways. Have you seen it in his eyes in the sunset? Have you wondered if he's laughing when he plays? That's right, coming into number 1, we have the Devil's Game. Great. So I found that terrifying description on a game listed on creepypasta.com, and it seems that the game has a 9.1 out of 10 rating from over 5,000 votes, so it must be scary. The game allegedly allows you to speak with the devil, and if you do it right, I quote, there's a fair chance you'll walk away scot-free. Good. The purpose of the game is not to make a deal with the devil, but just to ask him things. What type of things? Well, the post reads that he could very well be able to predict the winning numbers of tomorrow's Powerball, for example, or tell you what deadly undiagnosed condition might be afflicting one of your loved ones. How do you play? Well, the creepypasta says that the demon can be summoned at a church at midnight, but it works even better on a new moon, a full moon, Friday the 13th, Halloween, etc. You will, you guessed it, need salt, 7 white or red candles, some matches, red string, a mirror. You cannot bring any electronic devices into the room, as apparently that is not something that the devil is okay with. Apparently all you have to do is light the candles and stare into the mirror and will the devil to come. When he appears, one is supposed to challenge him to a game of question and response. The best way to get a truthful answer from him, according to the creepypasta, is to accept a dare from him. Now, I don't know about you, but I will not be doing any dares set to me by the devil. So guys, that was that. Before I go, I'm just going to read some comments from the top 10 scary occurrences. Hello and welcome back to the most amazing channel on the internet. I'm your host, Rebecca Felgate, and you guys seem to love a cursed game. I made a part 1 of the cursed games and you guys were all over it, so I've decided to make a part 2. How better to deliver it than in velvet, my favorite way. Before I get started, do let me know what cursed videos you want to hear next. So what about like the cursed foods or the cursed theatre plays? I would love that one. Let me know in the comment section down below. Also, while you're down there, why don't you leave a thumbs up on this video and share it with a buddy or someone you want to curse who would be stupid enough to try and play these games. Also, if you guys want to connect with me on social media, there is a link in the description box. All right, let's get started strong at number 10. This game killed 500,000 people. It's Bo. Bo was a board game that involved a 14-faced dice and some serious strategy. Bo's an absolute banger of the Han Dynasty, so we're talking 206 BC to around 220 AD. That's a long time for a game to be surviving and thriving. Bo lost its popularity when it led to a whole host of untimely deaths. Bo hasn't been played in 1,500 years as a result. So basically, here's the story why. 2 ancient Chinese kingdoms were brought together when 2 men played Bo together. Louis Shan played Prince Kui, but as Shan won the game, Kui got very angry and threw the heavy board at the visitor's head, killing him. This was enough to anger Shan's father, who declared war on the kingdom, marching 500,000 troops towards the capital. What ensued was a bloody war that killed hundreds of thousands of soldiers and civilians, and, well, since then the game has basically been retired. Probably for the best. Coming in at number 9, we have EA's Madden NFL. I have to say that I've never actually played this game. I've played PES, but that's like football. The NFL is the National Football League, one of America's favorite sports leagues to watch. This game allows players to play as their favorite North American sports stars on the PS4 and Xbox. So this game is not so much cursed for the people at home that play it than it is for the people unlucky enough to have been on the cover of it. The game came out in 1999, and over the past 19 years, 15 of the cover stars have befallen injury or misfortune in some unexpected way. This list includes Barry Sanders, Michael Vick, and Rob Gronkowski. The rumors of the game were so strong that EA have even publicly denied that there's a curse, and I feel like once they mention the curse, there's definitely a curse. Doesn't make me feel any better. Okay, next up at number 8, this game has driven people mad. We have $10,000 magic squares. If you like difficult puzzles, you'll probably have heard of, if not even played with, magic square puzzles. These puzzles work by each direction of squares in a line, creating the same sum. Now, it works very well with 4x4, 5x5, 6x6, 7x7, and so on and so forth. But at the moment, nobody has been able to create a 3x3 magic square that works. In 1996, Martin Gardner, a mathematician, offered $10,000 to anyone who could generate one. But well over 20 years later, nobody's been able to do it. Many have tried, and they've literally sent themselves doolally in the process. $10,000 or your sanity? I know which I'd prefer. Coming in at number 7, we have Lady Spades. Lady Spades is kind of like a Bloody Mary, but actually worse. The idea with Lady Spades is also to summon an angry, probably dead woman, although Lady Spades does come with a bit of a positive. If you manage to successfully summon the spirit, you can make a wish. But like with all occult games and assorted demonic summonings, Lady Spades comes with a few cons too. If you in any way annoy or upset the spirit, not only will she not grant you your wish, she will make the opposite happen. And she may even possibly haunt you, so probably not worth the risk. The stakes with Lady Spades are pretty high, and I'd have to say, I don't want to dig with them. Coming in at number 6, we have Taboo, the Sixth Sense. There is a reason that Taboo, the Sixth Sense was taken off the shelf, and that reason is it was probably cursed. In 1988, the game was for the NES console and was kind of like a tarot reading, future predicting game. Players would enter their name, an age, and a question, and it was kind of maybe like a bit more of an in-detail Death Clock or Magic 8 Ball combined. This game would predict your future by giving you a videographic tarot reading. It seems that there might have been something more mystical going on here though, as the game reportedly accurately predicted the tragic deaths of some of its young players. Also, can we just listen to the opening music? Like, clearly this game is cursed. Again, let's have a listen to the music when the tarots are being shuffled. I don't like it. Not one bit.
PaySend is transparent. When it comes to transferring money, it's not just the
Coming in at number 5, we have Tunnels. Tunnels is another mirror game, and by now you should basically know that all mirror games are pretty damn cursed. For this one, you're supposed to set up 2 big mirrors facing one another and stand in the middle. So basically, you stand in the middle, looking into the front-facing mirror and counting how many frames you can see over your shoulder in your reflection. Like mirror after mirror after mirror after mirror. It's probably enough to send you mad by actually just looking at yourself reflected that many times. Anyway, you're supposed to look out for movement in the frames, as many of the U's reflected are thought to reflect U's from other dimensions. It's all a bit mind-bending. But basically, so it goes, one of the versions of you may bring something bad from their dimension. You don't want to summon that kind of thing. And also, you may now exist in this world and be good, but you might not be good in all of the universes, so probably best to just leave this one alone. Coming into number 4, we have the Voodoo Doll board game. Whose idea was it to invent a Voodoo Doll board game? I'm honestly not sure black magic lends itself to gaming. Many believers in voodoo magic will tell you that actually it's not something to be toyed with. Nonetheless, Kappa Games have brought out a game, not so ironically called Cursed, that includes 4 voodoo dolls that lets you place curses on other players. Now the game is part card, part pin in effigy. Classic. If you have the fewest pins in your voodoo doll when someone reaches 10 pins, then you become the voodoo king or queen and you win. While this does sound like good, harmless fun, and actually I now have to admit I kind of want to play it, I'm not sure that we should be messing with voodoo. Coming into number 3, we have an online game called White Enamel. So White Enamel is clearly cursed, or haunted, or both. At this point, it's pretty much of a much, right? There's definitely some bad juju here, and I don't want to be a part of it. So this web point and click seems to be some kind of horrifying online game or interactive movie or something. I just don't like it. When the site launches, you're overlooking a town. You can then explore parts of it, and it seems to be a sprawling mental asylum with scary sounds and scary rooms. There is one part where you can draw on the walls in blood. Also, the page loading screens are needles that lose fluids as if we, the viewer, are being injected. I don't like that. Don't inject me. Stay away from me. When on this website, I noticed that my browser was telling me that it was not secure. So either this game will curse you or curse your computer in the form of a virus. Either way, I think I'm good. I'm just going to stay away from this one. Coming in at number 2, we have Yahtzee. You might not know this, but Yahtzee is one of the top board games to cause domestic violence. There have been a number of Yahtzee-related bust-ups and even some deaths. For those of you unfamiliar with Yahtzee, it is a random chance dice roll game in 13 rounds. 13. This is a pretty cursed number if I ever heard one. Basically, it seems like this game evokes a lot of strong feelings. Notably, a 9-year-old called the police when a game of Yahtzee devolved into a brutal fight between his parents. His drunken father hit his wife with a wine bottle, and it seems that she also resorted to violence. The pair were questioned by the police, and when they arrived on the scene, the child was taken away into protective custody. Another Yahtzee game led to a Florida man choking his wife, and another Christmas game of Yahtzee led to the notorious killing of a mother of 3 by her children. They put a bag over her head and then hid her body in the shed over the entirety of winter. So Yahtzee, I don't know. I just don't think it brings out the best in people, and maybe you shouldn't play it. Finally, coming into number 1, this is a bit of a Scottish mystery, and we all know I love a good spooky legend, especially when it comes from Scotland. That's right, at number 1, we have the Lewis Chessmen. I actually love this story, and I love chess, although maybe I wouldn't fancy playing with this set for fear of what would happen to me. So the story goes, in 1831, a high tide exposed a cave on the coast near Uig on the Isle of Lewis off North Scotland. I'd love to be there right now. Scotland. Shout out. In that cave, a local labourer found a chest. Thinking it may contain treasure, he bust it open and found a different kind of treasure. Chess pieces dating back to the 1200s, so a then 600-year-old game. Like, it's pretty intense. The pieces were made from walrus tusk ivory and are very, very, very expressive little pieces. The labourer was afraid of them when he saw them, initially running away thinking they were evil fairies. His wife screamed at him and sent him back to retrieve the pieces, which quickly became valued in the community. Sadly, bad luck befell the Highlander who found them. Most of them now sit in the British Museum in London. However, the urban legend goes that guard dogs and police dogs that enter the building will not walk past them. The chess pieces are thought to have come from Norway, so perhaps they have some kind of Viking Norwegian curse hanging over them. I love it. So guys, that was the top 10 cursed games you should never play. Curse games! You really want to do this again? Okay. Hello and welcome back to the most amazing channel on the internet. I'm your host, Rebecca Felgate, and today I'm bringing you a part 3 to the top 10 cursed games you shouldn't play. Before we get into this video, why don't you guys let me know what your favourite game is, be it video game, card game, board game, any of them. My absolute favourite game of all time is Settlers of Catan. I'll beat you if you're watching. I challenge you. Also, while you're down there, why don't you leave a thumbs up on this video and share it with a friend. And if you guys want to connect with me on social media, there is a link to my Instagram in the description box. Alright, let's do this. Coming in at number 10, we have Bingo. It might seem like a glorious game for senior citizens, but it turns out that Bingo has been behind a very high number of deaths. Honestly, when I think high drama, I don't tend to think Bingo, but I am wrong. There are far too many instances to even report in this one point, so I'll just mention a few. In 2002, tech worker Brett Keaton managed to hack a Vegas bingo machine into allowing him to play more cards than he paid for. When he realized that he had been found out, he committed suicide by jumping from the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge. In 2012, a 25-year-old woman in the Philippines killed herself himself the day after losing $400 in bingo. In the same year, a former Marine killed a 65-year-old woman outside a bingo hall in Jacksonville. Because of the demographic of their clientele, bingo halls often are the scenes of death. Old age pensioners sometimes die of heart attacks in the excitement. In 2014, Gala Bingo in the UK came under fire when a game of bingo was played on, despite an 87-year-old woman dying in the middle. Do I really think that bingo is a cursed game? Well, no. I actually think it's pretty great, but you should enjoy it responsibly. Coming into number 9, we have Fallout 3. Now, this has kind of been disproved, but at the time of release, a lot of people were worried that Fallout 3 was cursed. Why? Well, there was some spooky stuff going on hidden within the game that led a lot of people into thinking that actually it was spookily predicting the future. The conspiracy theory arose when players said that the Morse code that the game is broadcasting in stations was accompanied by a DJ announcer that was saying mysterious things like, "The Queen has died today," followed by a bout of Morse code that was translated as a date. Now, the Queen's death date was set to be in 2014, but she's still surviving and thriving. If Britney wins an Oscar in 2023, as predicted in the game, then I will officially be worried again. Game designers Beth Desser have denied that there are any hidden messages in the game, but all it takes is one twisted game designer and who knows? Speaking of twisted game designers, is that what's going on here? At number 8, we have Kill Switch. If the urban legends are to be believed, Kill Switch was a game created by Russians in the Soviet Union era. It is said that between 5,000 to 10,000 copies of the game were released in the dwindling days of the Soviet in 1989. The game was a horror game in which you had to battle demons and monsters in an abandoned coal mine. How very Soviet Union. Allegedly, no one ever proved that they completed the game, as when you were done, it would magically delete itself from your computer. Weird. In 2005, the rumor goes that an unopened copy cropped up in Japan. Now, this was played by Yamamoto Ryuichi. I'm really sorry if I butchered that. Ryuichi set up a YouTube channel to document his own gameplay, but unfortunately, he only ever made one video. This was a video of him staring at his computer and crying. That is the last we have ever seen or heard from him. Was the game cursed? Who knows? Alright, coming in at number 7, we have Jumanji. Did I want to add a fun one to the middle of this list, or is making 3 parts of this video a bit of a stretch? You decide. For the purposes of this video, I actually wish that there was a real-life Jumanji. Jumanji the movie was originally released in 1995, but saw a revamp in 2017. Now, in the original, 2 kids find a magical board game, a cursed magical board game that unleashes a plague of dangers that can only be stopped by completing the game. I loved this movie as a kid, and my lasting image was when they all get swallowed up by the floor. Me and my sister used to play that on our living room floor. I'm going to go out there and say, actually, this is one of the best movies of the 90s. There, I said it. In 2017, the cursed game was a video game, which somehow, in my opinion, I think is a little bit less cool. The original board game looks pretty awesome. You can actually buy the Jumanji board game these days in like Walmart, etc. I don't think it's actually cursed, but you know, we'll see. Coming in at number 6, we have Berserk. The legend of Berserk is the top video game urban legend, isn't it? I'm surprised we haven't actually even mentioned it in this list before. Berserk is a classic arcade-era game that lets you battle robots, which, you know, cool. Hurrah for robots. Less on the hurrah side of things, because actually the game is the first ever video game to be linked to the death of a human. I love how I said that, like loads have been linked to deaths of animals. Anyway, in 1981, Jeff Daly died playing the game. Now, just 1 year later, a young, healthy 18-year-old dropped dead in front of the machine. Peter Borowski had set a new high score for the game, and as he stepped away, proud of his achievement, he dropped down dead. Both deaths were ruled as heart attacks, and you can imagine what the headlines in the 80s were like. A good number of people actually did start to think that Berserk was cursed, and they just wouldn't play it. Okay, a game that I don't think I'd ever play. Coming into number 5, we have Virtual Girlfriend. There are many reasons not to play Virtual Girlfriend, the game that illegally used Mia Khalifa as a cover girl. 1, like, dude, come on. And 2, it's cursed. By cursed, I mean that the company who made the game made it as a malware scam, and you could end up getting your credit and debit card details stolen. The malware in the game was also able to access phone numbers, contacts, and read your texts. Since the dawn of the age of the smartphone, surreptitious and illicit companies have been creating dodgy phone games specifically designed to steal data and worse. Ooh, I like this one. Coming in at number 4, we have the Curse of Scotland. Playing cards were invented by the Chinese in around the 9th century. They are the oldest game that we humans are still regularly enjoying. With a long history has come a lot of strange instances with playing cards. On the surface level, card games are instrumental in many gambling games, which have tempted people into losing more than they have. While we could consider this to be a curse unto itself, perhaps there is something even deeper going on. The nickname, the Curse of Scotland, is specifically applied to the 9 of Diamonds card, which is considered to be particularly bad luck. The name is further applied to people who have had spells of bad luck in a number of card games, leading to their misfortune. Have they had the Curse of Scotland bestowed upon them? We have a good old-fashioned Las Vegas legend on the go at number 3. We have the Curse of Megabucks. Megabucks is a game created by International Game Technology and is a Nevada lottery, but also the name of a slot machine popular on the Vegas Strip. The rumors are that if you win the Megabucks from Megabucks, you will become cursed. It's said that the majority of players who have become millionaires from Megabucks have died early tragic deaths. One example is Cynthia J. Brennan. She won $34.9 million on the Megabucks machine at the Desert Inn Casino in Vegas in the year 2000. Just 6 weeks later, she was tragically involved in a car crash with her sister. Sadly, her sister was killed instantly, and the jackpot winner needed all of her limbs amputated, leaving her as a quadriplegic. Similar stories of death and misfortune have surrounded other jackpot winners. Sure, you might win big, but would it be worth it? An old favourite at number 2, we have Monopoly. Monopoly. Remember Yahtzee from episode 2? Well, Monopoly is regularly involved in cases of domestic violence. We could talk about all of those cases, but like with Yahtzee, they are plentiful. Instead, I'm going to talk about something perhaps even creepier. Have you ever heard of the Mandela Effect? This is where people think that they're living in a different dimension or universe from that which they grow up in. It's called the Mandela Effect because of a situation that occurred where some people were in total belief that the equal rights fighter and former president of South Africa died in prison in the 1970s, whereas in actuality he was released from jail and died in 2014. To cut a long story short, this led to a lot of people believing that actually we're living in many different parallel universes. There are loads of examples of this, one of which comes from the humble game of Monopoly. Many people swear that Mr. Monopoly had a monocle, others are equally adamant that he never had one. What do you think? Finally, coming into number 1, this is truly disturbing. We have Momo. This game has a lot of similarities with Blue Whale, but is a different social media game sweeping its curse across the internet. So the game involves texting a mysterious phone number with a terrifying, bulgy-eyed bird woman avatar. That doesn't sound too scary, but have a look at her. Blah. The mystery number then replies and sends back a series of challenges and disturbing threats, as well as bombarding the user with spooky and often horrifying images. The Civil Guard of Colombia made an announcement demanding that nobody plays Momo or engages with the phone number. They did this in response to the suicides of 2 teenagers who had played the game and received text demanding that they kill themselves. Unfortunately, the game has also spread across the world, sparking suicides in Argentina and India, and scaring parents and kids alike elsewhere. If you're watching, please do not feel tempted to play Momo. It is a sick and twisted cyberbullying game. Don't engage with it, just stick to chess. I like chess. Or come play Settlers of Catan with me. Good idea. So guys, that was the top 10
Want to learn how to pop your first ollie? Step 1, pop. Step number 2, slide.
Hello and welcome back to the most amazing top 10 channel on the internet. I'm your host Rebecca Felgate, and today we're talking about the top 10 cursed games you should never play. Before we get into this video, what is your favourite game? I love me Catan, I also like chess, and I also really like The Sims. I don't know if you guys watched our live stream a couple weeks ago. I don't like Slender Man. It's terrifying. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below, and don't forget to leave a thumbs up on this video. Alright, cursed games. Coming in at number 10, we have Charlie Charlie. So the Charlie Charlie challenge is adapted from a Spanish paper and pencil game called Jungo de la Persia, the pencil game. I probably murdered that Spanish. Basically, the premise of the game is to balance pencils on top of one another with no and yes written in the squares. Teenagers then call upon an alleged Mexican demon called Charlie. Players of the game say something like, "Charlie, Charlie, are you here?" The pencil then moves and people freak out. Why do the pencils move? Clearly because a demon has been summoned, not because of friction and gravity. There are a lot of videos of people playing the Charlie Charlie game, and it almost always ends with screaming and running. Many YouTubers find themselves doing the challenge, and they've garnered millions of views. Is it real? Well, according to Mexican historians, there is no demon called Charlie. But I don't know, any game that encourages summoning a demon makes me feel pretty sketchy. Coming in at number 9, we have Sad Satan. Sad Satan is allegedly a cursed video game found on the dark web. YouTube channel Obscure Horror Corner lived up to their name when they shared a scary screenplay of the game on their YouTube channel. And honestly, it looks really intense. To be honest, it also sounds pretty intense, and I don't like that. The player is walking down a dark alley and horrible radio signals start coming through. During the gameplay, from time to time, a blank screen would appear with strange markings. Reddit users decoded the font and said that it was saying things like kill, 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 and I can track you. Finally, at the end of the game, it cuts to a black screen in which the phrase "suffering doesn't end" appears. Great! So basically, this doesn't sound too good to me. I'll probably give playing this one a solid miss. Coming in.
That's all for you guys, and hope you enjoyed listening of what games you should be careful of and what games you shouldn't be playing as well. So, yeah. Hope you guys will be safe, and I'll see you soon on my next live stream. Bye bye for now.